Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start. So the first thing you want to do is obviously log into your Howdy, and I have the Howdy page open right here, and I logged in with my own username and password. Please don't hack me. Anyways, so you're gonna go ahead and go into registration. You're gonna click on it, and you're gonna want to start by clicking registration worksheet. Once you click on it, obviously you want to put spring 2020, and for people who are watching it in the future, put whichever semester that you are currently in or you're going to go into. Anyways, once you're in there, you want to click create a registration worksheet, and I already have one. So, I mean, obviously for you, if you haven't created one, then you create one. But for now, I'm just going to click edit and view my schedule. So these are the classes that I'm going to take. So you want to click view sections. And here you can see you have the different sections. So like previously, you had to do this manually, like class search, and then see everything else. And then before, you actually had to type in all your CRNs. So this is actually pretty handy. I love that TAMU did this. It is a little tricky though, because obviously if you're a freshman, then this is a lot more basically it's a lot more technology, especially like for me. Even I was a little taken aback when I first saw this, so please don't get scared. It's actually a really good way to register for your classes. I was actually pleasantly surprised that it was actually so easy once I registered. So basically what you want to do is you want to add it, and then once you add it, it'll show up down here, and so you can click on it. Hold on, sorry y'all. Anyway, so once you have it here, it'll show there, and obviously it'll show up on the buildings and the maps. But if you don't have if you add it and then it's down here, if you don't add it, it'll say planned, but unless you actually go in there and choose a section, it's not going to show up on your schedule. So make sure you do that. And obviously if you have more than one, then you can go ahead and delete. But that's basically it, you guys. It's pretty easy to use. So what it does is in your undergraduate degree plan, since you already kind of set it up for yourself, or what classes you're supposed to take, and if obviously if you don't have a class there, or you changed your mind, you're trying to add something else, then you can go ahead and just press click on search again, and you can manually just search for, let's say Psych 306 or whichever class you want to register for, and then you'll obviously just search it and it'll show up here, and you can view sections at the course, so it can show up there. And most importantly, please click on save registration worksheet, because if you don't click on the save, it's not going to be there, and you're gonna freak out the day of your registration. This is super handy, because if your registration time is 5 in the morning, obviously you don't want to spend a lot of time clicking on the CRNs, because it's just so stressful, and I'm trying to make it as easy and smooth as possible for you guys. So that's pretty much it. So once you do that, you can click on the registration, and then you can, on your registration day, it'll say obviously you'll click on the register for classes and spring 2020, and then once you're there, it'll show you that, and then you can enter the CRNs, super old school. But what's really cool is once you click on this registration worksheet, whatever you added into here will show up, and all you have to do is click add all, and it'll show up on the bottom, and it says that you registered for them. And that's it, y'all. It's super easy. So if you can just take a a few hours or however long it takes you to create your schedule, and add it to your registration worksheet. That's going to be super, super helpful. I know it can be a little like kind of like, oh gosh, like what is this? Because I know that's how I was, but I promise it's like super, super easy once you get the hang of it. Also, another thing is like click on prepare for registration, spring 2020, or whatever term you're on. Make sure you don't have any holds, especially like for your labs or anything like that. You don't want to like, okay, you just don't want to have that on the day of your registration where you cannot register because you didn't do like your lab. I forgot what it's called, but basically the lab acknowledgement or whatever you have to do for the lab. Make sure you do that. Make sure you don't have any other like holds. And that's pretty much all. That's pretty much it for that. And then if you click on registration, you can also like browse classes or the catalog, view your past schedule, which I mean, I honestly don't really see why I would need to do that, but I mean, that's just me right now. Maybe I'll need it in the future. But anyways, after that, you can just go to Howdy. Another way that you can check if you have any holds on your registration is through the Howdy checklist. And then basically, it'll tell you right there. It says, for me, I already did all my checklists for like the lab acknowledgement thing or whatever you have. And I don't have anything pending. But if you do, then it'll show up there. And that's like super handy because then you can just you can just click on it and then you can just scroll through it. It's right there. You don't even have to click through different like basically like different tabs. It has it all there. So if you just click on it and then it will come out on the right side and then you just scroll, accept, pretty much it. Super, super easy. Like I love TAMU for adding this like shit. I should not be cussing on my YouTube channel, but it's okay. Anyways, so I mean that's the easy part, just kind of adding the classes. Now I think honestly, like especially the hardest part for me as a freshman was knowing which professors to take. Obviously, that's just like, that's the biggest thing, because you don't want to have, well, like I'm biased or whatever, but I know that certain professors like are just, at least personally for me, I just like a certain like, I learn a different way than other people. Maybe you like being, I don't know. It just depends, like the personality of the professor, if he's monotone, things like that. Like little things that like change like your educational experience, I guess you would say. Or at least I would say that. So I'm going to teach you guys 3 different ways that basically you can choose the best professor for your classes. And these are things that I learned along the way. I did not know about this as a freshman. Maybe you guys do. Maybe it's redundant. I'm not saying that like you should know this already or this is like common sense. For some people, it's not common sense. It was not common sense for me. It wasn't something that I just like came into college knowing. So hopefully like it helps some of you guys. And if it seems like this is like something you don't need, then like maybe like show it to somebody else who might need this knowledge. So I'm just gonna jump right in. And basically the first thing I'm gonna do is like the easiest thing, obviously, it's rate my professor. And obviously not obviously, but I feel like most of you guys already know how to work this. You just, at the top, you just search for your professor, whoever it is. Like here I'm searching for Ryan Bethel. And that's one of the profs that I took for Chem. Well, back then it was Chem 101. I think now it's like 120 or whatever. But yeah, or 119, whatever it is. I don't know. Anyways, so here obviously like it tells you like their ratings. That's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's one of the oldest things that everybody knows about, like, but if you don't, I mean, that's there also. But that's one of the simple things. It's not really anything like that I didn't already know of coming into college. But the second thing that I didn't know about that I actually learned through my roommate, her name is Christy. Hey, Christy. in case you watch it. She showed me Aggie Scheduler, and I thought it was really, really cool because before A&M like added, like integrated that whole registration and like being able to see your schedule, and like instead of doing like the whole CRNs, this was a really, really good tool for people to like really see like their schedule. But what was cool also, that like obviously TAMU, I want to say they probably do it on purpose so that you don't pick only certain profs, because I mean obviously there's only enough space for certain professors. So oh, that's my Siri. Anyways, there's only a certain amount of space for each professor. So if they showed you who the best option or whoever had the highest like GPA distribution, then obviously like people would try to like register for that. And you know, it's just kind of like trying to keep it as fair game. But anyways, there's no better professor supposedly, but there is. Anyways, so basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna add a new course here. As an example, I'm going to do stats 302, and I'm going to add a course to schedule. And what's really cool is that like it shows you here like the GPA that it had for that professor. Like here you can see it's like 30.37%. Basically you can see how many people got an A, B, or C, D, F, whatever. So you can do that for multiple professors, and I'm just going to do a few more. So I mean you basically you can see the grades. So another thing that okay, so this was actually really cool, but like what about like what happens if like it doesn't show up? So I'm gonna do Chem 120 for as an example. I'm gonna add the course to the schedule. So here you can see that like there's actually no like percentage here. So what you want to do, well, what you can't do, well, you can't do anything, but you can. So what I also learned was a really, really good thing to use while registering or like preparing for like registration is to use, and that's going to be the second thing, which is my personal favorite, honestly. Well, actually, it's a third thing. The third thing is using TAMU's grade distribution. And it's super, super helpful. I did not know about this till like junior year. Wait, no, I'm a junior right now. Sophomore year. Anyways, and I didn't know it was a thing. And it actually looks pretty complicated, but I promise it's not. So here you can see like it has a grade distribution report, and it has like 3 of them, but you don't need to use all 3. So here you see it says like the year, semester, and the college. You want to make sure it's like a previous semester, like an older semester. So like right now we're going to start in spring 2020. Make sure it's like a older semester, like spring 2019 is right there. Or you can, obviously since we don't have the grades for fall 2019, you have to do like the semester prior. So basically 2 semesters prior, and that's going to be good for y'all. And so as an example, I'm going to do again stats, because that's just one of the classes that I looked up myself. But here you have all the colleges, and whichever one like you need, you can click on it. And so this actually is a little bit of work, but I mean it's completely doable. So we're gonna go into the College of Science, because I mean STEM is a really, really big thing. So you're gonna click on the grade distribution and it'll pull up, and then as you can see it's like biology 107, 111, 112. You keep scrolling, but I mean I'm looking for stats, so I'm gonna click a Control F or Command F if you have a Mac. But basically you're going to click on stat and then put a hyphen, so that way you can actually put the number. So I'm looking for 302 and it'll show up, and there you can see, because it's a really, really large PDF, and so you don't want to be scrolling forever. And you're trying to do this as quick as possible. I know you guys are busy, so make sure you put that hyphen so you can put the number. I didn't hear, as you can see, and so I kept scrolling because I completely forgot to put the hyphen. But anyways, here you can see, like, okay, so for this professor, Liang H, I don't know the full name, but you can see, like, she had 40% have an A. And then for the other professor, it's like 36% had an A, 31%, 28%, and then this other prof had 45%. So that's obviously one that you probably want to take if that professor is available. Or if it's not, well, then obviously, like, you keep seeing. And what's really cool is, like, it shows all the profs. Well, and if you don't see them for that semester, let's say, like, your prof is missing, then maybe try, like, going into, like, an older year. So, like, instead of, like, spring 2019, try, like, a fall 2018, which was another, like, semester before, and then click on grade distribution, and it'll show up as well. So that's a really cool thing to know, because, like, sometimes, like, it doesn't come out on Rate My Professor, or it doesn't come out on Aggie Scheduler, and, like, here it'll show up for sure because these professors have obviously taught classes before. So this is honestly my favoriteest thing to register. But I also just learned about this. My friend Minerva told me about it. I actually did not know till, like, I was basically creating this video, and she told me about it. So basically you can click on, well, you can go to Google, and, like, I didn't know the actual website. She always forgets it, but basically you can type on TAMU syllabus on Google, and then well, that's not the name of the website, but it's the class schedule search. It's going to be the class schedule search. Anyways, so you click on it, and basically what you want to do is, okay, make sure that you are doing a semester prior at least, because if you don't, nothing's going to show up. I did that as a mistake, and just to show you guys that here you don't see any syllabi. So what's really, really cool about this is that it shows you the syllabus, and sometimes it'll also show you the evaluation for the professor. So here I'm going to do spring 2019, because that's already something we already went through. And so I want to do maybe, like, okay, let's do maybe stats or anything like that. So basically, okay, you're going to do psychology, and you click on it, and then you do a course number. Let's say you're doing 306, and then you press enter, well, class search, and then it, as you can see, it shows you here the syllabus. And obviously, like, it's not going to be the same. I know it's not going to be the same because professors, I mean, it's a tentative schedule, so I'm not saying that it's going to be exactly the same, but it kind of gives you an idea of, like, how the professor usually, like, structures their class, how many exams, like, they usually have, things like that. And that's really, really useful. I did not know about that, and I honestly got mad at my friend for not telling me this, but it's okay, now I know. And so yeah, that's really cool. And obviously it's really cool because you can see the evaluations as well. Here you can see, like, the different profs, and you can see their evaluations, and if they're, like, you know, students evaluate them, and so that's you guys. And so if you don't like a certain prof, or you don't think a prof did as well as they could have, or something they can improve, I mean, obviously with these evaluations, there's, like, the hope that they improve on those things that they're lacking. But if they don't, then that's something that, like, obviously that's only the professor, and only they can change that. So I mean, this just kind of gives you an idea of what to expect from that professor, if that professor is the right professor for you, because you don't know until you actually go into class. But this kind of gives you, like, a preview of what to expect, and this is something that I'll be using in the future for sure. But anyways, that was the last thing.